Good evening
Good evening.
and
Hey,
happy Wednesday.
happy Wednesday. How are you today? Congratulations. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Hustle and Shine podcast where we are off and celebrating the MV pen. Yes, girlie got a promotion.
Coins. It only took them a year and a half,
Listen,
but
it'd be
it
like
cute. I
that.
was like, come on, promotion and come on, retroactive pay. Yes, give me all the back coins.
Okay. All I have to do is prepare you. Remember when the retroactive pay come, the retroactive taxes gonna come too.
It's
That
all
be that
right. I
hurt.
mean, I'm gonna take the extra $3. Get me a soda, and that's about it. Give me a bag of chips and a fruit bowl or something. I'm gonna take the little extra $5 that I'm gonna get after taxes.
Yes, yes.
But I'm excited.
It's well deserved.
Thank you. How are you? What's going? Well, first of all, thank y'all for tuning in. Before we get into the band, so we just jumped in. You know, we see each other once, well, more than that, but when we see each other, we get excited. But welcome to another episode of the Hustle and Shine podcast. It's your girl Mel V, the MV Pen.
And it's me, Tiffany Mathias, the one true Phoenix. And of course, we're missing the Queen Pen tonight, who is in the middle of experiencing a power outage where she is in her area. So we are praying for her in a little bit because she said an hour ago that she had 24% on her phone. So I'm hoping
It's about
whatever
to be
they call
crazy.
Georgia Power, whatever it is, get themselves together and get our girl back some power. So not only her a little bit could be safe, but she could hop in and join the conversation too, because you know she gonna be watching.
Yes, you know she is. Well, she can't if she can. If her
Right.
phone dies, she can't watch nothing.
But in the meanwhile, y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what y'all are supposed to be doing right now. It is time to like, share, comment, subscribe. Time to get the people in the room. We have an amazing guest joining us tonight. The last time she was here, we had to cut the episode short, but we have the love Dr. That's what I'm calling her, Candice Harper, coming in. She's an expert on relationships, but relationships for women of color who are in power. You know, that could be an intimidated demographic. So she's here to share some knowledge on us. So tag a friend, start sharing it, start commenting, letting us know that you are here, that you're ready to join in this conversation with us, because it is a juicy one tonight. We are discussing love, more than a four-letter word.
Mm, more than a letter. That's more than a letter. Okay, wrong song. Didn't work. Okay, I'm quiet.
You know what songs were going through my head as we were working on this episode?
What?
Um, what have you done for me lately? Tina Turner, What's Love Got to
Got to do. Yep, me too.
And Madonna, she was like, what's the line from the song? Satin sheets are very romantic. What happens when we're not in bed? I can't remember that song, but that
Yeah,
lyric stuck out
yeah.
in my head. If somebody know what song I'm talking about, Madonna, 1987-ish, I think it might have been. Yes, satin sheets are very romantic. What happens when we're not in bed? What is this relationship built on?
Yep. That I was Keisha Cole's Love. It was just all the songs that talked about love, and I was just like, this is gonna be so much fun. Cause
Yes.
you know it's February, so it's like dual purpose month. We're gonna talk about some love, even though I'm out here hating on Valentine's Day. I was in CVS earlier, and I was like, I just want to knock all this stuff off the shelf. Get all this out of here. I don't want to see it. But get all this out of here. But you know, we got to talk about love, and then we got to give you a little Black history and all that. So we're gonna mix it up for February. So the first two episodes we're gonna focus on love, and then we're
Listen,
gonna focus on us.
the Black History segments that are getting shows that are getting ready to come up, and the segments that we're getting ready to touch on, timing is always divine, right? Excuse me. Could you imagine if we had that Black History show tonight after Kendrick? But we'll bring Kendrick back in next week when we start talking about that. But yeah, did you tune in? Do you have an opinion?
I tuned in just for the Super Bowl performance. Like, well, I was at my friend's house, and she don't really watch football, so we just watched that. Um, you know, First of all, I did agree. Like prior to the Super Bowl, there was a lot of static about it being in New Orleans and them not having Lil Wayne perform and stuff. So I kind of was like, that is kind of a shot in the face to be in the city and not have, the big people from that city perform. I was like, y'all did when y'all did the Thanksgiving, y'all were in Houston and y'all brought Beyonce out. So it was like, why y'all didn't bring, like Lil Wayne or any of the New Orleans, or at least if not the whole thing, like have him out there. So I was like, honestly, when it was like Kendrick was gonna perform, I was like, so how many songs he gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
Cause I'm like, they not like us is it, like, I mean, he got other songs, but as far as real big popularity, like I was like, so what else we gonna do? So it was cool. I mean, it was Kendrick. It was him, it was this personality. So I can't knock it for that. But do I think that it was necessarily in line with like the caliber of Super Bowl performances we've had over the last couple of years? I feel like it fell a little flat because, like, how you put him up the year after you got Usher and Alicia Keys and Pharrell, and he got all it's so exciting and so big, and so it was like I think that's what people's expectation is now for the Super Bowl halftime show. Like they expect big grandioso.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think for what he did well. The visuals were really great for me. I like the visual components that he had artistically. I think that was super dope. Um, I love it. I'm sorry for all you Drake lovers. I love the shot at Drake. I was like, ha ha, because y'all really thought that this man was finna get on Super Bowl TV and not say that name. Y'all fired. I was like, no, it's ratings. He's gonna do it, and I was excited that he did it. But yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I normally tune in to the Super Bowl for the commercials and the halftime show, but this year I didn't even bother with the commercials, just because of everything else that was associated with what was happening with the Super Bowl. But for me, what I expected is what I got, and I agree with you. The caliber of artists that have come on have been very flashy, very like a lot of movement, a lot of intricacy going on there, and that's not who he is. So I got what I expected to see, and oddly enough, and then this will be my final thought on it, I knew a lot more Kendrick songs than I thought I knew. Like,
no, yeah, there's a lot of them, but it's like you just don't think of it.
He made that. But
yeah, you just don't think. You don't be like, oh, you don't think of it. So that's why, like I said, at first I was like, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, it was decent. I felt like maybe it was me. I felt like, and maybe because it was so kind of monotone to some extent, it felt really short.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I felt like it was done, and I was like, that was it. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that the standard Super Bowl performance
I think
time
it's like 17 and a half minutes.
is the same, but it didn't feel like that. Like it felt like 5 minutes. Like it felt really quick. Like I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
But like you said, I didn't expect. I think for what he did, I got more than what I thought he was gonna do.
Right. I think for me, listening to all of the people on social media and their commentary on it got a little deeper for me. Like I got the whole initial, like, it was a game thing, but as other people started dissecting it and I started getting more, I was like, if this is really what was going on, like there was this whole thing about the video game controller and the order in which you press the buttons in a certain game, it gives you like this certain level of power. And I'm like, if that's the level of debauchery that he was on, like he's a mad genius. But I guess
he's a mad genius, but it was like you went too far for the Super Bowl. Nobody was getting that. Like I know nobody was picking up on that.
Nobody was picking up what he was putting down.
No, they were not. And so I mean, like I said, it was cool. Yeah. I mean, I think with everything else going on right now with Trump and all of his shenanigans and what he's doing, and it was just it was overshadowed. It was just so much other stuff on my mind that I was just like, all right, let's see it, and it's cool. But I was like, because even for me, I'm surprised, like with the promotion, I'm thankful because last week I didn't know if I was still gonna have a job because y'all all know our favorite governor DeSantis, who is like the Trump minion, they removed so I work for a state university. So it was all over the news, but they removed our president and he appointed his deputy governor as the president of the university. So we all were like, what's about to happen?
The panic.
Yeah. So I was just like, I was concerned, like, what's gonna happen next week? Because I work for my department deals with like international and public affairs, and I'm like, you out here trying to get people deported. I was like, you might be like, y'all can't teach that no more, and I was like, then my whole department is gone. So,
well, I'm happy for you that that wasn't the news that you got this week, and so I know you'll be amazing in the role. But what I want to do is bring into the conversation our guest this evening. You can I'm gonna read a bio, and then you can bring her out. Candice Harper is the go-to love coach for exceptional Black women who want a loving relationship with an emotionally available equal. She is a certified and licensed hypnotherapist and relationship coach. She is also the author of the upcoming bestseller I Am Not Mad, but She's Still Crazy, which illustrates how she and the women she coaches have healed their mother wound and released blocks to the loving, healthy, romantic relationship that is their birthright. So I'm going to bring to the stage Candice while Mel does what she does. Oh my God. This happened last week. Mel's computer was like Control Alt Delete reboot. But while Mel's session, I'm going to bring Candice to the stage. Welcome everybody. Candice Harper, the love coach.
Hi everybody. Do you think Mel's going to come back?
Mel's going to come back. Remember when you came last time? It was me with the tech issue.
Yes. I do.
Yes, but Mel will be back in. So welcome. Thank you for joining us for this special episode as we talk about love being more than a 4-letter word. As we were in our planning session, I was like, I know exactly who to bring in as a guest for this topic because this is our whole wheel well. So welcome in.
Absolutely. And I love that you invited me for this topic because you know it's my obsession. It's what I love to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while Mel is getting it together and we're gonna jump into the session, tell us about this book.
So yeah, okay. Now I've been releasing this book probably for the last 2 years. And I've been finished with it. I mean, finished in the sense that it probably needs a couple more editing passes, but the actual content of the book is written. So I'm Not Mad, but She's Still Crazy is the title that describes what my process was around healing my mother wound, healing with my mother, healing our relationship. And so most of my curriculum and the coaching process that I do is based on the I'm not mad, but she's still crazy idea, which is what a lot of us who have had issues with our relationships with our mother, the way we end up resolving it and believing that we're healed around it is because I've gotten rid of the anger. I maybe even forgave. I hear a little bit of feedback. You got
There you go. I got it.
Okay. So I maybe forgave, in whatever the sense of forgiveness is that I know. Maybe it's the Christian sense where I pretend to be like Jesus and turn the other cheek, whatever. I may have moved on with my life, but I still got to keep her over there somewhere because she's still crazy. And so that's the healing that a lot of people have done. And this book describes that healing and also the steps that need to be taken to really actually free yourself from that relationship and transform it so that you can have loving relationships. Because often when we're in that state of she's got to be over there, we're still having messed up romantic relationships. We still got all kinds of beefs with people. We're still emotionally killing people off.
Well, I know a lot of people personally who can use that book, and I might just have to buy a dozen of them and gift them to some people. One for myself. Maybe I'll get a baker's dozen. But yes, thank you for sharing that. And I am looking forward to reading it. So we're going to get into it, Mel. Hopefully the feedback sound has worked itself out because you're going to come in and you're going to talk to us about the different types of love and give us some definitions because the people love when we define stuff.
Absolutely. You know this fan on my laptop or you disrespectful. And then I'm sorry, my computer just shut off again. Remember it did that to me last week.
Yep.
I'm like, it doesn't do this all week. It never does it. And the minute I get on the show, it'd be like, I'm gonna just shut down. Like just random.
Mm-mm.
Every Wednesday at 8:15, you go just shut off.
It says, okay, I take a nap now.
Like, pick another
I'm
time.
done.
But anyway, so yeah, so what is love? So many of us know about different love languages, but outside of love languages, there are different types of love. And so the four main types of love are agape, philia, eros, and I think you say storge.
Storage.
Storage is how
Storage.
you say it. Storge. And then there are two other ones that nobody I didn't even know about them in my research called pragma and philosia.
Oh,
I didn't know about those.
I didn't come across those either. So
Right.
give us some definitions.
Right.
What are
So
those?
agape is a love that involves sacrificing for the sake of the loved one, a divine love that involves providing for the loved one no matter the cost. So most of us know that as like we call that brotherly love.
Hmm.
That's your love of people, love of everyone around you, just the love, general love of humanity, right? Then there's philia, which is an affectionate love that involves loyalty, compassion, and trust, a love shared among those who have similar values and experiences. There's eros, which is a romantic and sexual love that involves passion, lust, and or romance, a love that creates an exciting and energetic atmosphere in a relationship. Storge is a familial love that involves a strong bond, kinship, and familiarity, a love that is shared between families or between a parent and a child. And then the two that I didn't know about is pragma love, which is a love style that emphasizes practicality and realism over passionate love. And philosia, which is a healthy form of love where you recognize your self worth and don't ignore your personal needs. Now
Oh,
we have a love term for self love.
that Philotia love sounds like the one that everybody wants, but we end up in some of that pragma one.
Yes, absolutely. So like those are the four different types of love. So with those, obviously, all of us have one or more or multiple relationships that fall into one of those categories,
Hmm.
right? But what I found interesting in when we thought about this topic and what I was really kind of looking into and where it becomes a problem, so to speak, in a lot of relationships, is that we try to kind of skip the steps. So
Mm.
we go straight to eros without having agape or philia. We jump straight to eros, and so when you get in this relationship where it's solely based on sexual or romantic feelings, and there's no basis of friendship or humanitarian love for this person, then when that romantic ooh ah feeling kind of escapes, then y'all be like, I don't love them no more. But that's because you can love the people in your life. You may love them in different types at different stages in your life.
Hmm.
But if you only have one type of love for this person, what happens when that love is wavering
Wow.
or has an issue? Do you know what I mean? And same thing for familiar love. Like, yes, naturally born, your mother, your father, your brothers, your sisters, you naturally have love for them. But if you don't develop agape, or philia, I mean not the agape, yeah, or philia for them, that's when you have these families that are falling out, come out, and then you don't have. I ain't talked to my brother in 30 years. I don't talk to my mother no more. I don't talk to my father because that familiar love is kind of innate just because you're born into a situation. Well, I love them because that's my mother. I love them because that's my father. But you haven't developed a sacrificial love for them or a friendship love for your siblings. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
when you only have just that one, in my opinion, I feel like love is like the show is called Love is More Than Just a Four-Letter Word. Well, love is more than just one of four types.
Yeah.
I feel like to really love an individual and for that love to be long lasting, whether it's friendship, relationship, family, for it to endure the test of time, you gotta love in more than one way. You gotta have love in more than one way, if that makes sense.
No,
Um,
it does.
Yes, there's no substance. And I mean, I think for everyone, no matter the relationship, I feel like agape is like the foundation. That's godly love. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's the foundation for any relationship. So if you don't have that, the rest you can get all the other ones if you want to, but you're gonna be doomed without that, because that's kind of the love I feel like, I guess, the sustainable love. That's the sustaining love. That's the love that's gonna hold you in contentment and hold you in security and hold you in sufficiency when the other ones waver, because they will.
Yeah.
That's just my take on what is love.
No, you came out the door both barrels blazing and hot. Like, this is what's going on here. And I was following you on that, because when you were sitting there talking in our planning meeting about how people will need to have more than one type of love at the same time for a person, I was like, I don't know, like, how does that work? But the way that you're explaining it now makes sense. And then it got me to thinking about people who are in, whether it's like open or polyamorous types of relationships, where they're like, I love them both. I love more than this one person. They're like, it's impossible to love more than one person at a time in like that intimate type of connection. But when you break it down like that, then it definitely is. But Candice, come in here, love coach.
Yes,
Come
honey.
and teach us something.
Well, I got to tell you, with what Mel was saying about agape, I think you are on the right track, right? Absolutely on the right track when it comes to agape love, because so these different types of love come from Greek philosophy. And so, as humans throughout history, we've always had to figure out how to compartmentalize and define things and label things. But from my philosophy, love is love. Love is agape love. It's unconditional. And unconditional and love are the same thing. So even though they sort of defined it and delineated it in the different ways, that's really just how you behave socially based on who you're loving, right? So if you love a family member, hopefully that's not an eros or a sexual love. If you love a friend, right? Like, that's how they define it. But Mel, you're right. It comes down to agape really is unconditional, is really love. And that's all that love is. And so what we get caught up in is, whether somebody deserves it or not, how to give it or not, how much to give, and what love actually is. And if I'm loving you unconditionally, does that mean I'm letting you walk all over me? Which, no. But at the basis of all of it is the understanding that I either love you or I don't, because there's only love or there's fear. I love you or I don't. And love is active, right? How I love you is determined by the structure of our relationship, but I either love you or I don't.
Yeah, that Mel's mic was still giving a little bit that fan, so I had muted her. But the I love you, but I don't. That's when I think people will talk about, like, they fell out of love with someone, and then we have to differentiate the fact of whether or not they were like in lust or infatuated with them versus really loving them. And I think it changes, like, as you get to know a person, you can build deeper connections to them and get, see them in different lights. And then, the feelings and the intensities change. But then throughout the course of the relationship, of course, things change and things fall apart. And you can still, as people say, oh, I still have love for that person, I'm just not in love with them anymore. And I get that that's what you're saying, Candice, because love is love and you either have it or you don't. And so what would you suggest when somebody starts seeing that happen in their relationship, any kind of relationship, where they start shifting from this type of love and admiration that they have for someone, and it starts turning into something different, but they don't want it to get ugly?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that oftentimes we think that loving somebody is managing what they are, how they show up, who they are in our lives, right? And that if we love them, to want them to be a certain way is natural. Like, we want them to love us back. We want them to continue to try to work on it with us. We want all of that from that person. The thing that I teach is the understanding that unconditionality starts with you.
Mhm.
Right. So if I'm not in a relationship with myself that is unconditional, and if I'm out of alignment with myself and I'm trying to work on you to make you be something that I want you to be, then that love is not going to go anywhere, because everyone that we attract is just a mirror of what's going on within us. Right. Anybody you get in a relationship with, they're just mirroring exactly what's going on within you. That's what they're giving you back. So that I need you to do something. I need you to be better. I need you to show up this way. That's me out of alignment with me. But I'm hoping that you can fix it. So my advice to someone in that situation is get back in alignment with yourself. Because you are, deep down, all of us are love. All of us have the ability to be unconditional. But if I'm not giving it to myself, I definitely am not going to get it from somebody else.
Yeah. We have spent countless hours on this show in other areas where the Diamond Writers show up and speak, talking about self-love and finding self-worth and healing the hurts inside of us before we can sustain relationships. And it's like you came in here and in 2.5 seconds said it, and it's like, okay, thank you all for coming, good night.
Right. I was like, it's too early to be. We ain't ready for his gem. Like, you just gonna give me the gem at the top of the show? Like,
but the thing about this conversation is that it has to like be repeated over and over, because we all come from what we come from and what we're conditioned to feel and believe and think. And so, like, you can never say it enough. Like, we can, they always say, oh, well, self-love, that's cliche, whatever. What you can never talk about it enough.
Yeah. All right. So the people are in here tonight. I'm seeing comments come in and some gems being dropped. Were there any comments, Mel, that jumped out that we should highlight before we move into the next segment? I'm trying to scroll through quickly.
We have a new diamond anger.
Diamond Danger.
Is it Diamond Danger? Diamond Danger. Welcome. She says, so
Yeah.
we need more than one type of love in a relationship.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then what else did she say? She said, "Oh, no incest here. I'm gonna listen and judge that."
we listen and we judge that.
We don't judge. Look, man.
We don't do
Not that one.
Right.
We judge.
But no, Tiff, you made a comment, and I was like, it reminded me of something that I always say when people be like, "Oh, you still care about, you still love that person," and I'm like, I always say, if you can have once said that you love somebody and were in love with them, and you can now say that you don't love them anymore, you never really loved them in the first place. I don't feel like you ever, if you genuinely love someone, you never stop loving them. The way you love them may change. So you may, like you had said the comment, like I feel like first of all, I feel like loving someone and being in love with someone are two very different things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't understand that those are two different things. So I feel like, yes, you can be in love with someone and no longer be in love with them, but if you ever really genuinely love them, there's still love there. You still love them. You just they've now gone from, eros back to philia or whatever, what I'm saying? The type of love has now shifted, so the way you love them is different. But I don't feel like you ever really stopped loving someone that you honestly, genuinely loved. Like, I have friends who I am not necessarily friends with anymore, but I have no ill will towards them. I still care about them. I still want the best for them. I still hope for great things for them. The way we show up or the way I show up for them now is different, but I'm not like, I don't love them anymore. They may not be worthy of my presence, anymore. They may not be worthy of my sacrifice, which is that they may not be worthy of that part of my love anymore. But I don't, for me, and Candice, let me know if I'm wrong, but I don't feel like if you genuinely love someone, not just said it because it's been 6 months in this time or we've been friends, but if you genuinely have love, which is that agape love, you genuinely had that at the surface of whatever other love you had. When the other loves fade, you still have that. I don't feel like that just goes away because now you've fallen out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Mel, because we can't define love by the things that we do for or with someone. We define love by what you were talking about. That like you may be out of alignment with me, and I may not be in your life every day, but I still wish the best for you. I wish you well. I still see God in you. So if I say that I love someone, I love them. And the idea here is the reason we came here is to love everybody. We know that ain't that easy.
Right.
Mhm.
But that's the whole idea. There's just going to be certain people that are in alignment with you and certain people who are not. Right. So, just to sort of re-say what you said, it's just basically about the understanding that love is something that it never goes away, and you're either active in it or you're not. But you can love somebody from 50,000 miles away geographically, emotionally, and you can love somebody right in front of your face. The idea is that you recognize that and you understand whether they align with who you say you are. And if they
Mhm.
don't, you can still love them. You just don't have them close to you because you're working on your own alignment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just shared a comment where for me, I always thought the opposite of loving somebody was hating them. Like I either loved you or I hate you. But you mentioned earlier that the opposite of love is fear.
Mhm.
And then now I'm thinking about all the different layers of fear. Is it like fear of safety and them maybe physically, emotionally, psychologically hurting you? Fear of the unknown of what this person is because they're not who you thought you are? Could you like elaborate on that a little bit for me?
It's all those things, right? That's how we end up trauma bonding. It's all those things. Like it's fear that I'm going to get hurt. It's fear that I'm going to experience what I saw growing up. It's fear that it's not going to be the vision that I'm hoping it's going to be. It's the ego trying to control the situation, saying, no, 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 just protect yourself. The ego is meant to protect us. Just protect yourself. And, make sure that if that person isn't doing X, Y, and Z, or they are doing X, Y, and Z, act according to that.
Mm.
Right, be what that person wants you to be. And if you can't be what that person wants you to be, then maybe you make them go to therapy. That's the ego. That's my fear talking. I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to go through it again. I don't, all of that is counteractive to love, but we sometimes label it as love because we feel it so deeply. And underneath it all is love. But when we let the ego take over, we're being guided by our fear.
Wow. Okay, look at that. Just having a Tiffany epiphany right here about love in live action. Y'all know they bound to come. There's at least one a week now.
That's good.
Well, welcome to my healing and enlightenment journey. So we can move into the next topic now, which is Candice's Wheel Well again, finding love in a hopeless place. And when I thought of this subtopic, I was thinking about the day and age that we live in now, that everything is either social media driven, apps, long distance. How do we find love in a place or in an environment where everything can be so fake? Like I just heard this story, and this came from a divorce attorney, where she was listening in on another case where the husband and the wife were divorcing, and the husband was submitting all of this information about the wife having an affair. He's got access to text messages, pictures, a video recording or an audio recording of her on like some type of tirade where she was like, if I can't have the house, I'll burn it down. And lo and behold, it was all created with AI.
Yeah. Wow.
The messages, the images, and the voice audio of her saying these things, none of it was her. It was all AI. So like, how do we protect ourselves in this crazy like world that we live in with all this technology?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question, right? Here's the thing, and it's going to sound kind of esoteric and maybe even a little bit woo-woo for some people. When we are aligned, and when I say aligned, I mean, when I say that word, what comes up for you guys? What do you think of when I say that? I'm out of alignment, in alignment.
And the first thing I think about is whether or not I'm telling myself the truth or being truthful with myself. That's the first thing that comes to mind for me.
Definitely. That's definitely a big component of it. What about you, Mel? What do you think of?
Gotta unmute.
Sorry, because my fan is being disrespectful. I think alignment is almost like just like the word, but in linear form. So where all parts of you are in sync. So what your mind is saying and thinking and doing matches what your heart is feeling and
Mm.
emoting. What your energy and your spirit is putting on that. I just feel like all of those things match. So it's not like your mind is thinking, I'm great, I'm amazing, but your heart is projecting negativity and then your spirit is projecting rejection. Like, but I think for me, alignment is when all of your chakras, people say with like your mind, your body, your spirit, your aura, everything is evoking the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the way you both put it. So it also is understanding what's important to me, understanding my values, my core values, and actually behaving in a way that defines them, in a way that expresses them. I think you use the word self-expression, Tiffany.
Mhm.
It's being able to say, I know that what is important to me is to be able to be 100% myself, whatever that is, however I define myself, however I express myself authentically and unapologetic and truthful about it. And so when you ask the question, how do I protect myself from this fake world that we're living in? One thing about alignment is that when someone is not aligned with you, they can't stay. Like anybody who's trying to scam you, trick you, whatever, if you are in alignment with yourself and what is most important to you in an honest, self-expressed, unapologetic way, especially when it comes to like the dating apps and meeting people out and about, if you know what it is that you're about, the vision you're creating, what's most important to you, who you profess yourself to be, and that's exactly how you show up, like Mel said, like how you think it is what's in your heart as well. That's who you show up as. That is your protection. Because those who are duplicitous, those who have one thing in their heart and another thing in their head, they might be able to fool you for a minute, but not long enough to do any real damage. It's when we are out of alignment that those who are also out of alignment and meant to do us harm can get in, because they have all sorts of avenues in toward to our, I want to call it dishonesty, but I don't want to make people feel like it's a bad moral thing. Sometimes it's really hard to be super self-expressed and authentic, but that's how people who mean us harm can get in. It's because we're out of alignment with ourselves. When we compromise ourselves because somebody is 6'5" and they got six figures in their bank account and they're saying all the right things, even though we know that they're not in alignment with, my spirituality, the way I feel about family, my future plans, my, the lifestyle that I'm creating for myself. They don't align with any of those things in the way that's important to me, but they've got all that outer stuff. So let me go ahead and compromise myself. It doesn't mean it's my fault if they do bad, but that's how we get unprotected. It's because I'm out of alignment with what I say is important to me, right? For whatever reason, whether it's because he was good looking or because I was, horny, whatever it is, if I'm out of alignment, I'm in trouble. I'm at risk, I should say.
Yeah, I agree with you so much, Candice. Like that's spot on, and to tie in what you're saying, it's that with that it's that being honest with yourself. Because I feel like we all, well, however it comes up, you all there's something that happens, whether you get a knot in your stomach,
Yeah.
whether your fingers is twitching, whether your knee hurt, whatever it is for you. Do you know what I mean? Whatever it is for you, we all know we get something, we feel all like something ain't right. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't, it's just, I always say for me, like when somebody is being dishonest with me, or rephrase that, when someone's honest with me, my spirit just settles with it.
Yeah.
Like it's just like there's no, but when somebody's not, I always say something about it, the plane is not landing. Like
Yep.
it won't land. Like it's hovering, but it just won't touch ground. And I'm like, I don't know what it is. And I don't know what part, but it's just like something just doesn't, the plane is just, it won't touch ground. Like the passengers cannot get off. It's hovering.
That's such a good
Um
metaphor for safety, right? Like
yeah,
when we're with someone who we can trust and they're authentic and we're being ourselves authentically, there's a safety in that,
yeah.
right? And so that um, metaphor that you're using, that's like a lack of safety. Like if the plane is not touching the ground, something's wrong.
Right.
And oftentimes we just kind of ignore that feeling because we're trying to make something work, and that's out of alignment.
And yeah.
Right. The new norm becomes that the plane doesn't touch down. It just coasts close enough to the ground for you to jump on and off. Like,
Right.
you know, they ride the trains in India, right? The train kind of like,
Like chickens. Like,
you know, so I'm sitting here, y'all know I'm always taking notes, right? And so what I started thinking about is suiting up in armor or like protective gear, but then at the same time making yourself available and vulnerable enough to be loved. Like that's such a like specific recipe that has to be mixed together. It's like where I have to put some extra coating and some extra protection over my weak parts, but I can't build up a wall so high that nobody can get through, or it makes it difficult for me to be loved, right? So right now we've been talking about what it feels like to go out there looking for love, but then at the same time while we're out there looking for love, we're looking for that reciprocal, right? We need somebody to love us too. How do we make ourselves lovable? Like how do we show our vulnerability, show our boo-boos and our wounded parts, but show that we're working on getting healed in order to make the connection? Like, you know, it's scary out there. And this is and by saying it's scary out, this is I think why people stay that fear where people's like, I'm gonna just stay over here with what I know because it's dangerous out there.
yeah, I get it. And here's the thing about it. It's going to sound like it's so simple. It's not. It's simple, much simpler to say than to do, just like life. Understand that you are easy to love. Like, get into that understanding and speak that language. You know, Tiffany, from the worlds we move in, that our words create our worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I start to realize that me, my 100% full self-expressed, authentic self, just me, with none of the BS, none of the, you know, whatever stuff I've added on top of it, whatever lies I tell, whatever hair I wear, whatever education I got, whatever I layer on top of it, just me as a human being. I came here, I put on this human suit, and I am easy to love. And when I think that about myself and I believe that about myself, what happens is I release the need to show you anything but exactly who I am. And if I'm for you, I'm for you. And you will show up as your best self because you can't help it. You want to be in my space. And if I'm not for you, you will have no time for me. You'll move away on your own, which a lot of us, I mean, I can think of relationships in my past where if I would have had that knowledge in place at that time, I would have been so happy to have them move away. But at the time, I just thought I was in love. Like, you couldn't tell me anything. If I would have just got in alignment with knowing that I'm easy to love, I don't have to be anything extra in order to appease you. I don't have to show up in any certain way for you to understand who I am, except exactly who I am. And we trust that, which, you know, that takes a lot of healing, because that means you got to heal all the shame. You got to forgive all the old story. You got to forgive your mama. You got to forgive your daddy. You got to work on all that stuff so you can release that shame, that guilt, those negative feelings, and understand I am easy to love. And the reason I know it is because I work on loving myself all the time. And the better I get at it, the easier it is for me. And when I know I'm easy to love, all I got to do is be myself. If you don't get it, good luck.
Yeah. There's a comment that just popped up. It says, no one is hard to love. It's that we are looking for love from people who don't rock with us. Exactly. And we were discussing last week where we were like, oh, it's round. And so we're trying to make this rounded object fit, but it's an oval and you're trying to put it in a circle, right? Yeah. And so we're like, if you would just do these things, you could love me the right way. Or if I like, and it's not that difficult. You're seeking it from someone who either isn't capable of giving it to you or does not want to give it to you or whatever it is. And that's where the difficulty in these and building these bonds and relationship comes in, is because you're trying to force something that shouldn't be in the first place.
100%.
And sometimes the Most High be sitting, and people be like, "Dear God, please let me know if He's the one. Send me a sign." And
Like,
the gods be flashing, and you're like, "The sign. You didn't want to see the sign."
yeah. It's funny. It's like that analogy when they talk about like salt and sugar.
Uh-huh.
And it's like from a distance, salt and sugar look the same. And that's like how a lot of us approach love and relationships. Like we approach it from a distance.
Yeah.
So it looks good from over here. Like
Yeah.
salt and sugar look the same. My favorite one is like grass and turf. That's what I'm like, it looks the same.
Yeah.
From a distance.
Yeah.
But if you really investigate it and get up close and personal with it before just diving in. Do you know what I mean? If you just walk in the bowl is there and you just scoop and you done scooped up 3 spoons and put it in your coffee before making sure that it's
right
and not salt, guess what? That coffee is gonna be really nasty.
Yeah.
But the logic is, well, it looked like sugar.
Yeah.
It did, but did it taste like sugar though? Did it serve the same purpose as sugar though? No, because you didn't take a minute, a little second to investigate a little deeper. You didn't go in there like, oh, let me just test it. Let me taste it. Is that sugar? You were like, nope, it's sugar.
Right.
And then you just scooped it in, and now you got salty coffee. And that's how a lot of people approach relationships, not just romantic, but also friendship relationships, because we want it so bad, because it looks like sugar or because it looks like grass.
Yeah.
We just run for it. You know, I like the grass and turf analogy a little better because I'm like, turf looks great. It looks great all the time.
Yeah.
It requires no maintenance. It requires no upkeep. It requires no involvement except laying it down. And once it's there, you're done. And it looks great. But it's not grass. It doesn't give back to the atmosphere. It doesn't feed the environment. It doesn't do anything but sit there. Grass not only serves a purpose for you to look at it and it looks nice and it smells great and all that, but it feeds the environment. It gives back. You have to water it. It needs sunlight. It needs all this stuff to grow. So I'm like, if it's just looking like grass, but it's requiring no effort, no work, no nothing, and it's not giving anything back to your environment, you probably got turf.
Yeah.
You got turf.
You got turf. But you've convinced yourself that it's enough. Well, it looks like grass. It's close enough to grass.
Yeah.
And you settled. And so I think a lot of us, because people, as you say, are not in alignment, they're not clear on who they are and what they want. They don't trust themselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't trust yourself to know that when you get this feeling that this is not right, you don't trust your own instincts enough to be like, I don't like the way this feels.
Yeah.
You start to second guess yourself. Like, well, is it me? Or maybe it's not that bad. Or maybe, so we got to stop just dumping the salt in the coffee.
Mel, I love your imagery. I hope that you are one of the diamond writers.
Yes. Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
Such good imagery. Like, I love the way you do it.
I'm a graphic artist. So
are you?
It just like images and imagery and creativity. That's the world I live in. So I don't know if it's my natural. Everybody be like, you always be having the analogies. I'm like, I don't know what
it's so good.
My mind processes things.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's totally fitting. I agree with you.
All right. So we can get ready to move into our third and final subtopic for the night. And this one is spirituality, divinity, and connectivity. And when I thought of this one, because the Diamond Writers are who they are, we're very in tune with our relationships with God and a higher power, and how what is divine and God-given can't be messed up, right? So it's when people start trying to mold things into the fakeness or bring in like, oh, but God let me go through this thing for that. And it's like, did God let you go through that thing, or did you go through that thing because you didn't listen? But again, it's all in love. It's all in the quest for love, acceptance, belonging, familiarity, all that other stuff there.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, trying to figure out, like, I got some questions over here. When do we decide, when do we stop tricking ourselves into thinking that God sent me him or her or this thing when that's not where it came from? That's not that's not the sender. God didn't send you that. You went and found that on your own.
Right. Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. It really all comes down to belief, right? Because, what you believe is what dictates your behavior. So whether it's true or not, as far as how I perceive your relationship with God, if I believe it, for me, it is true. Right. So even if I think that, God sent me somebody and then it turns out that they're abusive, and they're beating me up every day and it's the worst experience I could ever possibly have. And so I say to myself, well, why would God send me this person? Depending on how you frame God, like for me, I frame God as, the universe, source energy. It's God is an energy field. And I don't necessarily subscribe to the patriarchal, sky daddy who tells us we're bad or good and, is jealous of idol. Like, I don't necessarily subscribe to that version of God, but whatever version of God that you subscribe to or that you believe in, your belief system around it is what makes it true for you. Right? However you see it. So if I believe that God would send me someone who beats up on me, I mean, the way that I would alchemize it for what my beliefs are is that there was something, and I was in a very abusive relationship for about 4 years. And what I got from that relationship, and I do believe that source energy, God, the universe sent me this person because there was healing that I needed to do. There were things that I needed to shift. There was transformation that needed to happen in my life. That if somebody didn't come along and beat me up against the coral reef, like the ocean, I wasn't going to get it. I wasn't going to get it. And the reason I know it is because that's what happened. Right? So I think sometimes we get too caught up in, well, if I'm really good, then God's going to give me good things. If I behave like I was told to behave, which could come from, parents, the Bible, whoever wanted to control us. If I do all those things, why am I not getting what I want? But when our understanding of it is that, God is connection and energy and source and love and unconditionality and me growing myself up, because that's what I came here for, then I'm willing to say that whatever is sent to me is sent to me by God, because it's there for a reason. It's there to grow me in some way or to give me something I need.
Candice, get out my head. Get out, because I promise you, when she asked the question, like, that's literally what I was kind of thinking in my head for this. So ready for imagery 197? Okay.
Yes.
So, right, when people always say that, like, well, why would God do this and why does God do that? And if God really loves me, da da da. Well, first of all, nowhere does it say that everything that God gives you is gonna feel good, taste good, smell good, be comfortable, be cushy. It doesn't say that.
Yeah.
He says he's going to give you what you need for you to go down the path that he needs you to go down. Doesn't say it's going to be comfortable. If we look through the Bible, people was going through all kind of stuff that was not comfortable to get to where God needed them to be. So that's one. So here's my imagery. So one of the I forget the name of the movie. It's with like Morgan Freeman and what's his name when he saw the ark and whatever. But there's a moment in that movie where the wife is like talking to Morgan Freeman, who is supposed to be God, and it's like asking them like about when you want to be close to your family, why doesn't God do this and do that? And so he says to her, he was like, do you think when people ask God for wisdom, he gives them wisdom or he gives them an opportunity to gain knowledge? Yeah. He said, when people ask God for patience, do you think he gives them patience or gives them an opportunity to be patient? And he was like, when people want to have closer connections with their family, do you think God makes that connection happen, or he gives them an opportunity to grow that relationship? Yeah. And so I feel like that's the same thing with this. Well, God sent me this, or it was bad. And we have to be conscious of the things that we ask God for, because if you are in a position where you are gullible, or you are naive, or you are a pushover, or you are subjective to whatever the issues are. Um, the person that God sent you, he may have sent them to you to teach you a lesson. But you decided to turn this lesson into a lifetime.
Yeah.
That was not the plan. You were supposed to learn a lesson and move on. And then the people be like, well, why does this keep happening and I keep going through this over and over again? Well, here's my imagery. When you're in school, right, and you take a class, in order to pass the class, you have to learn a certain amount of the necessary information to pass to the next level. Well, if you don't learn enough, you fail.
Yeah.
And you got to take the class over.
Yeah.
And you got to keep taking the class until you learn enough about the subject matter for you to be moved to the next level.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's the same thing in these situations.
Yeah.
When you didn't learn the lesson, whatever that lesson was that God was trying to teach you in this one, and you got out and went to another situation, well, guess what? You're going to go through similar situations again until you learn the lesson, until you pass the class and God says, hey, you figured out, you've learned your worth.
Yeah.
You can move on to the next level. Hey, you figured out that you can say no. You can move, whatever the lesson is that you need to learn.
Yeah.
Until you learn it, you're going to keep going, and God will keep sending you these people, because if God puts you in, I always kind of like money. If you have a budget, or you have, you make $20,000 a year, and you are completely mismanaging your money, your purpose, God may really be like, you're supposed to be a millionaire, but he can't make you a millionaire until you learn how to manage the small amount of money that he gave you.
Mm-hmm.
He gives you all of this right now without you learning the fundamental tools. You're going to be broke because you're going to blow it.
Yeah.
The love that you're looking for, this amazing relationship, very well may be in your future, and it is. God promises you, that. But if he brought you that man or that woman that was for you right now, and you're still broken, hurt, insecure, shattered, and he brought you on this right now, you would ruin that relationship.
Absolutely.
You got to go through all these other stuff to learn the lessons. And if it took you 20 years or 30 years, that means because you wasn't learning the lesson quick enough.
Right.
Don't be mad at God because you went home and didn't want to open the textbook and study, because you wasn't, you was like, oh, I'm gonna just go in there and wing it on the test, and then you failed.
Right.
Like, that's not God. That's you.
Yeah.
You just refused to learn the lesson. You thought that you could make it happen your way.
Yeah.
You wanted to, the way that was comfortable for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're gonna keep going through it. So yes, the man that kept cheating on you, God kept sending them, because every time you kept being, no, he's not gonna
do it again.
Doing the same thing. So God was like, all right, well, you haven't learned to trust your instinct, or you haven't learned this yet. So I'm going to keep putting you in situations that are going to force you to learn to heed to these red flags, trust them, whatever it is.
Or value yourself.
That part.
Whatever your quirk is, or whatever that lesson, and nobody can tell you. You know the lessons you need to learn. You know the things that you don't do so well.
Yeah.
But until you learn them, and not just learn them for the sake of passing the test, like not for, I got a D, I passed. No, until you learn them into the point where you can be effective and proficient in implementing them into your life on a daily basis. Yes, God will continue to put you in situations, and they'll show up in different forms, but he will continue to put you in situations that keep trying you in that same manner until you learn whatever the lesson is that you're supposed to learn.
Yeah.
Okay, Mel.
Thank
So
you, Mel.
you in here dropping the gems. We didn't get to that part of the show yet.
That was Candice's fault. She was in there. She started it.
Imagery, though.
This is such a deep conversation. I was sitting here, I was dropping in like just the little things. I was like, oh, that's fool's gold love. People are hard learners, and remedial love, because it's all the same. It's remedial love. Like, you're in remedial love because you don't have the fundamentals to be in this course. Like, you're talking as somebody who works in the university. If somebody needs to take something 101 but they're not proficient in it, they have to take a prerequisite or a remedial something in order to be eligible and qualified to participate in this class or in this topic. Because if not, the material is going to go over their head. And at the end of the day, all of these lessons, whether they're life lessons, educational lessons, or whatever it is, it's about you being able to take them and apply them in real world situations.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah.
But here's the thing, though, that we have to always remember, because the thing about, when you keep having to learn the lesson, or you keep, dating the same person in a different body and keep making those mistakes and keep going back and you're not getting it, the catch-22 about it is that the harder you become on yourself about the fact that you keep ending up in this situation, the more you will end up in that situation. Because God is in the energy, right? So if you're vibing on the level, like what you were talking about, Mel, is, you don't get that person that you want, that you think is the ideal person, while you're vibing down here, because that vibration is up here. And so if I keep getting in bad relationships and I'm beating myself up, my vibe is still down here. So I got to get to a point where I can say, yeah, I got to get the lesson. But the first lesson is ease up on yourself. The first lesson is, the reason I've been picking this wrong person is because that's all I ever knew. And so how can I, learn something different? How can I experience something different? So I'm not going to be able to go on that exploration until I just say, you know what? This is not okay for me anymore. So now let me start asking the questions I need to ask of God, the universe, of, my self-help guru, my pastor, my mentor down the street. I got to start asking questions, and I got to get to a place where I'm willing to ease up and not feel like I should have known better. Because the shoulda, coulda, woulda is the worst thing that we do to ourselves. That beating up of ourselves, like, oh, why didn't you get that? Because that just has us doing the same thing over and over again. What you got to do it better. And then you get more protective. You build up that armor, like Tiffany was talking about. It gets thicker and thicker and thicker. And it gets to a point where you can't even open up, because you just feel like you're going to just mess it up again.
Well, people, this has been an hour-long conversation about love. There has been so much shared. Some lessons learned, some what was it? The Cleveland notes. Some Cleveland notes were provided for you to be able to take with you and start doing some research of your own, because at the end of the day, this is all about life lessons, and what my lesson is and what Mel's lesson is and what Candice's lessons is totally different. They may have similarities, they may overlap a little, but they're still individual paths. And so we study differently, So it's time to move into dropping a gem and wrapping it up. I'm gonna go first, because Candice and Mel are gonna coming through with all the visuals and analogies, and I'm just gonna say, God damn it, you deserve to be loved. You are love embodied. Embrace it.
Let Candice close it out because she's an expert. But I don't know. Since y'all just love my imagery, I'm just keep my imagery. So my gem today is, so many of us in love, in life, in profession, in spirituality, and whatever journey we're on, we so badly want to be on a collegiate level. We so badly want to be the PhD in this.
Yeah.
But we're operating on elementary school knowledge. So my advice, or my gem, is, if you want to operate, if you want to graduate, you want to get that college degree, you want to have that PhD in love and life and whatever it is that you're doing, you got to put down the coloring books. You got to graduate. You got to move up the levels, and you have to do the work. You don't get to go from 5th grade to college.
Yeah.
Go through it.
Yeah.
But don't expect to be able to understand a dissertation when you still read Dr. Seuss.
Right. I love it. I would say, I love that, Mel. I would say absolutely 100%. ditto for both you and Tiffany. And I think that where it starts is always from within. Whatever it is we decide we want, whatever we want to experience, whatever we want to create, it always starts from within, and the vibration that, the level that we're vibing at. Right? It always starts from a place of, how can I, no matter where I came from, what I came from, and what I've endured so far, start to speak the language of somebody who is valuable, easy to love, worthy, worth it, capable of learning, capable of going from Dr. Seuss to a PhD book. Like, how do I start speaking that language and using those words in my life? Our words create our worlds. And the way that I believe and the way that I speak to myself is exactly what creates what I experience. We think, oh, men ain't shit, and this is that, and that, this is that way, and politics are like this, and social rules are like that. And none of that means anything. It means nothing except for that you believe it. So it's the moment we start believing that we are who we are, capable and valuable and worthy, and start walking in that, align with it, it changes everything. And you get what you want, not what you need. I mean, obviously what you need is within what you want, but you get smacked up against the side of your head when you don't let yourself just grow into who you are and allow that vibration to raise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. See, I got song lyrics going through my head now, and they're the ones from
What just happened?
I don't know. We look Candice, but
you lost me. I'm still here,
but she's still there, so I don't know what's happening.
Okay.
This is so weird.
But quickly, song lyric that's going through my head right now is from Princess and the Frog. When Prince Naveen was changed, he said, "You got what you wanted, and now you miss what you had," or something like that. Like, it's always there. It's always there, and you're always seeking something when you actually do have everything that you need inside. You just have to embrace it. But that's it. It is almost 10 after. This conversation could keep going,
I love it.
We're happy everybody joined us this evening.
Yeah. I love y'all for having me.
Thank you, Candice.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'm glad I got to be here with you this time.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad we got to meet.
Absolutely.
And I'll join you guys anytime you want. Tiffany sent me a message. I was like, hell yeah, anytime you want me to come.
Absolutely. We would love to have you back.
You did send this, and so I'm going to just drop it for the people right now. If you want to stay in touch with her or you want to follow her, here's her website. Click on the link, find out and learn more about Candice and the things that are coming up on that end there. And then for us, upcoming announcements and everything, the submissions are open for our Diamonds and Blanc and our awards. So if you know somebody who needs to be recognized as a community leader, somebody who is making change and waves, go over to the Diamond Writers website, click on the link and see what category they land in and nominate them. Awards will be given out in this fall.
Yes. At our Pressure Weekend Diamonds and Blanc Awards Gala.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
More information to come. Follow, like, share, comment, subscribe so you can know what's coming up and when it's happening.
Absolutely. And stay tuned because we are 2 months. 2 months? Yeah. 2 months away.
From the release of the new book.
From the release of our 5th anthology entitled Audacity.
Oh, wow.
So stay tuned.
Yep. Until then, remember, continue to hustle and shine. And we'll see you next week.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Let's go. Let's go.